Listen carefully. There is a silent trap that destroys more lives than failure ever will. It is not weakness, it is not lack of talent, it is not bad luck, it is the desperate need to be liked. Many people spend years shaping themselves around the expectations of others. They say yes when they want to say no. They stay silent when they should speak. They tolerate disrespect to avoid conflict. They apologize for things that require no apology, and little by little, they lose themselves. Not because they are bad people, because they confuse kindness with submission. They confuse being agreeable with being respected. But respect and approval are not the same thing. In fact, the more desperately you seek approval, the less respect you often receive. The Stoics understood this deeply, especially Marcus Aurelius. As Emperor of Rome, Marcus Aurelius could not afford to shape his decisions around pleasing everyone. He understood a difficult truth. You cannot live according to your principles and everyone's expectations at the same time. Sooner or later, you must choose. And if you want to become respected rather than merely liked, there are lessons you must learn. Today, we explore 7 Stoic lessons that can transform how others see you, and more importantly, how you see yourself. Because real respect begins within. One of the clearest signs of insecurity is the constant need to explain yourself. You make a decision, then immediately begin defending it, explaining it, justifying it, seeking approval for it. Why? Because somewhere inside you fear disagreement, you fear criticism, you fear disappointing people. Marcus Aurelius understood that every decision will upset someone. No matter how thoughtful you are, no matter how reasonable you are, no matter how good your intentions may be, someone will disagree, someone will criticize, someone will misunderstand. That is life. The moment you accept this, something changes. You stop wasting energy convincing everyone. You simply make the best decision you can and move forward. Respected people do not feel obligated to provide a courtroom defense for every choice they make. They listen, they consider, then they act calmly, confidently, without endless explanation. Because confidence speaks louder than justification. Most people are exhausted not because they have too much to do. They are exhausted because they keep saying yes to things that should have been a no. They sacrifice their time, their energy, their focus, their peace, all because they fear disappointing others. But every unnecessary yes is a betrayal of something more important, your priorities, your goals, your values. The Stoics believed your time is one of your most valuable possessions. Once spent, it never returns. Marcus Aurelius often reflected on the shortness of life. He understood that every moment wasted cannot be recovered. That means every commitment matters. Every obligation matters. Every yes matters. The ability to say no is not selfish, it is necessary. A weak person says yes to avoid discomfort. A strong person says no when it aligns with their principles. Respect grows when people realize your boundaries are real, not negotiable, not temporary, real. Many people unknowingly teach others how to treat them. Every time someone crosses a line and faces no consequence, the line moves. Every time someone insults you and you laugh it off to keep peace, the disrespect grows. Every time someone takes advantage of your kindness and you remain silent, you reinforce the behavior. Marcus Aurelius believed that character should not depend on the actions of others. But that does not mean accepting mistreatment. There is a difference between staying calm and becoming a doormat. You can be respectful while maintaining standards. You can be kind while protecting boundaries. You can remain composed while refusing disrespect. Real strength does not require anger. It requires clarity. The clarity to recognize what behavior is acceptable and what behavior is not. The moment people realize certain standards cannot be violated, respect begins to grow. This lesson changes everything. Someone will be disappointed with you. Accept it. Someone will disagree with your choices. Accept it. Someone will misunderstand your intentions. Accept it. Someone will think less of you for setting boundaries. Accept it. Most people spend years trying to avoid these realities, and in doing so, they sacrifice themselves. Marcus Aurelius understood that trying to control other people's opinions is a losing battle. You cannot control what others think. You cannot control how others react. You cannot control whether people approve. The only thing you control is your character, your actions, your integrity, your response. Once you accept that disappointment is inevitable, you stop living for approval. And the moment you stop living for approval, you become free. There is a reason calm people often command more respect than loud people. Their words carry weight. Many people talk constantly. They overexplain, overpromise, overshare, overreact. The Stoics practiced restraint, not because they had nothing to say, because they understood the value of saying only what matters. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself to avoid unnecessary speech, to focus on truth, to focus on purpose, to focus on what is useful. When every thought becomes a conversation, your words lose power. When every emotion becomes an announcement, your presence weakens. Respected people do not speak to fill silence, they speak to add value, and because they speak less, others listen more carefully when they do. Silence is not weakness, often it is discipline, and discipline creates authority. One of the most liberating lessons in life is realizing that understanding is not required for action. You do not need universal agreement. You do not need unanimous support. You do not need everyone to understand your vision, your goals, your standards, your direction. Marcus Aurelius spent years making decisions that others questioned. Yet he remained focused on what he believed was right. Why? Because he understood that wisdom is not measured by popularity. If you constantly need everyone to understand your choices before you move forward, you become trapped by opinions, trapped by expectations, trapped by fear. But when you accept that some people will never understand your path, you stop seeking permission. And when you stop seeking permission, confidence grows, respect follows. This is the lesson beneath all the others, the foundation, the root. Because every problem we have discussed begins with one question: how much do you respect yourself? If you respect yourself, you set boundaries. If you respect yourself, you keep your word. If you respect yourself, you refuse to tolerate disrespect. If you respect yourself, you stop abandoning your values to gain approval. Most people want others to respect them before they respect themselves, but it works the opposite way. The world often mirrors the standards you hold for yourself. When you constantly compromise your values, people notice. When you constantly betray your own principles, people notice. When you constantly seek validation, people notice. But when you stand firm, when your words match your actions, when your standards remain consistent, when your character remains steady, people notice that too. And that is where genuine respect is born. Not from intimidation, not from popularity, not from manipulation, but from integrity. Marcus Aurelius understood a truth that many people spend their entire lives avoiding. You cannot be respected by everyone, and trying to be liked by everyone will eventually cost you your peace. Respect is not built through people-pleasing, it is built through character, through boundaries, through self-control, through emotional discipline, through the courage to stand by your principles even when others disagree. So remember these 7 lessons. Stop explaining every decision. Learn to say no without guilt. Stop rewarding disrespect. Become comfortable with disappointment. Speak less and mean more. Stop needing everyone to understand you. And above all, respect yourself first. Because the moment you value self-respect more than approval, everything changes. Your confidence changes. Your presence changes. Your relationships change. And the way people treat you changes. Not because you became harder, but because you finally stopped abandoning yourself to make everyone else comfortable. And that is where real respect begins.